A journey deep into the tropical rainforests of northern Queensland.
This little area here is a good place for a crocodile. So we've seen a big one, some people reckon as big as 14 or 15 feet long. If you're dipping water out of the same place all the time, they'll pick that up and one day they'll meet you there and eat you.
The crocs are just part of the experience on a journey which for some of these people began half a world away.
Mr. Dixon, would you like to come this way, please?
This is Trailfinders' flagship long-haul travel centre, Northside. On the north side of London's Kensington High Street, it's part of a network of travel centres throughout the UK, Ireland and Australia.
I'll get someone to see you. Okay.
We, I think, by nature, have always felt a very sincere responsibility for our clients. And so service was very high on the list. We also paid great attention to what our clients wanted. So rather than invent products that we thought were good, we looked at what they were demanding.
Since 1970, Mike Gooley has been the driving force behind the company.
Prior to starting Trailfinders, I joined the regular army and had 12 very happy years there, most of it in the SAS, which is a great adventure. In the late 60s, overland, so-called, sort of generic term for soft adventure, expeditions across Africa and to Kathmandu was all the vogue. And most of these things were being operated by young men who were well motivated, but perhaps not very experienced. And with the Army experience and the SAS experience, we were obviously very qualified to do it. And so we thought we'd become the expedition company. Well, what actually happened was that we realized that there was very little information available. If you went into Thomas Cook and asked to go overland to Kathmandu, they actually said to us, sorry, we don't do that. We're travel agents. And that made us wonder if that wasn't travel, what was? And so at the 11th hour, instead of operating, we set up as an agency. And the curious thing was, of course, that whilst we were qualified to operate the expeditions, we knew nothing whatever about being a travel agent. However, somehow in there were one or two innovations, because we really set up a travel agency as if no one else had done it.
Most of the business at the time was Australians returning home, so where better to start than in the heart of Kangaroo Valley, Earls Court Road.
Very early on, we realised that people didn't live in Kathmandu. We were booking the overland bit to Kathmandu, but of course they had to fly on, and so we were immediately led into making the air travel arrangements.
The timing could not have been better. 1970 was also the year that wide-bodied jets flew commercially for the first time, and the capacity for seat sales grew accordingly.
We claim really to have pioneered the change in the distribution system so that discount tickets were no longer a thing of the back street. So as we reached the late 80s, it became apparent that we should really be a little braver, and the Kensington Northside office became our flagship, and our presentation on a major high street with a very high standard of design concept and layout was a major step forward.
Australian visas? Yes. Yeah? 12-month working holiday visas you can do here. We've got a visa department downstairs. You can get all the forms, they can fill out, you need your passport details, and they'll tell you what to do, where to send it.
Trailfinders' comprehensive visa and passport service is part of a whole range of facilities available at this one-stop travel shop.
So really the main thing we're after at the moment is just yellow fever.
Injection-wise, you've got meningitis, typhoid, hepatitis A, diphtheria, tetanus, polio.
Yes.
Yep.
The travel clinic provides all the necessary medical advice and documentation.
These are the official certificates that you need, okay?
All right.
Travellers can find everything from maps to mosquito repellent in travel goods. Foreign currency transactions are commission-free for Trailfinders clients. And the information centre is there to provide expert advice.
Okay. Right, I had a chat to Rob about this trip from Islamabad to Kashgar.
It's all part of a culture of providing a seamless service from the very first inquiry to the point of departure.
Do you have a safe trip? Thank you. And this is your itinerary here.
The success of the London format provided the springboard for a regional expansion programme throughout the 1990s.
When I tell you that the fastest growing regional airports after Glasgow, Manchester are Bristol, Birmingham, Newcastle and Teesside, it's really self-explanatory why we chose those cities to proliferate our presence in the country. The City of London has a very high density of high-spend leisure travellers. They tend to purchase spontaneously and they tend to want to get things done from an organisation that's right on their doorstep. Well, 1 Threadneedle Street, opposite the Stock Exchange and the Bank of England, I don't think you could get closer into the heart of the city than that. So we regard it as the superb location.
Back in Kensington, opposite North Side, is South Side, which opened in 1996.
This is the South Side office, and this office we basically do the European flights and the American flights, so it's considered short haul. Occasionally people do wander into this office thinking that we do Africa and Asia and India, but basically it's the North Side office and literally just across the road there.
By the early 90s, we'd appreciated that clients were beginning to require a fuller service in terms of the accommodation, and we saw that as a great area of growing both the service and obviously the turnover, our involvement in the total itinerary.
In response to this demand, Trailfinders set up its Tailormade department to provide this service.
There are 2 parts to the Tailormade department at Trailfinders. We have a product department of 6 people who contract hotels and car hire and tours, which go into our Tailormade brochures. Then we have the operations side, who are making bookings for the reservations that the sales consultants have made. And that sales consultant's in every regional office, so it doesn't matter whether you're in Dublin or Glasgow, all the reservations are handled here.
Trailfinders, Ravi speaking. How can I help you?
Trailfinders, good morning. Emily speaking.
Good morning, Trailfinders. Sally speaking. How may I help?
Trailfinders, good morning. Vida speaking.
Good morning, Trailfinders. Gary speaking. How can I help?
Trailfinders, Claire. Trailfinders, good morning. Mandy speaking. How can I help you?
Most people make contact with Trailfinders on the phone. Across the company, there can be as many as 1,500 incoming calls an hour. The pace is hectic. Lunchtimes are particularly busy. It's a case of all hands on deck, so lunch is provided in all the travel centres. In London, the sandwiches are made in-house, just around the corner in Mike Gooley's wine bar.
Our success is down to one single factor, and that is the staff that we employ. We've had a culture to always strive to find people that are above the travel industry average. Many are graduates, talented, articulate, commercially aware thinking people. And I think that's what sets us apart from the competition. And I think it's the one aspect of our organisation that the competition find it most difficult to replicate.
We have a whole variety of different people that work at Trailfinders, all different shapes and sizes. The one thing that holds us together more than anything else is that we all have a love of travel. Of our total staff, 2/3 are travel consultants, that's members of the sales force. The supervisors, the team leaders themselves started off as travel consultants, as indeed we all do. We receive several hundred responses from every advert we place, so there's a lot of work for me and my team to do. We have recruitment days at the Commonwealth Institute, which we hold roughly one a month. We tell everyone what it's like about working at Trailfinders. They get a chance to meet a lot of our team. There are a couple of interviews during the day. There is a tour of the travel centres, and there's also a group discussion exercise in the afternoon. We have a geography test because it's important to us that we have a clear idea of everyone's geographical knowledge. Amongst other things, we call ourselves the travel experts, so we need to have the right sort of people that know where most places are in the world. A typical recruit is probably in their 20s who has recently come back from travelling, usually around the world, and is looking to get a job in the travel industry so they can continue to travel.
Then the next line's got to be Los Angeles to San Francisco, and it's got to be a surface, so it's S in the ASC column.
We place a large emphasis on the induction training because we generally don't recruit people from within the industry. What's more important to us than anything else is that people have first-hand independent travelling experience. So obviously they're joining us without any knowledge of how any of the travel systems operate. So we need to spend a certain amount of time ensuring that once they finish their training that they're ready to deal with the public on a one-to-one basis.
You've got a change of planes, you're there for 2 hours, 10 minutes. Okay. And then you connect on straight through to Manila.
The working atmosphere at Trailfinders, hectic, crazy, mad. No, I mean, it is stressful. I mean, everyone would admit, I mean, it's not easy. I mean, we work under pressure. We take 3,000 calls a day. It's continuous, non-stop. But that's the excitement, that's the buzz that people have to get out of it. Being able to handle that pressure is the key.
99.9% of the time it's manic. You've got people in front of you, you've got the phone ringing, the other phone ringing, call waiting. It's always very, very busy.
When are you going to come in? Do you know what day? Because I can get it ready for you if you want.
Every day is different. That's one of the beautiful things about it. People come to me and ask to go to Paris. The next call is going to be a North America one or a cruise around the Caribbean. Every single one is different. The industry is very dynamic. There's not much difference in the fares. The main difference is the service. Building a trust between myself and a passenger, that's the way you're going to do well.
I am the leader of a team and I want my team to do really well. And if my team are doing well, then I feel that I'm doing my job well. Okay, how long are you going for? 6 months. Okay, it's £20. Would you like me to send you out the details? Yeah, we get a lot of positive feedback, especially with the working holiday visas. You'll phone up someone and tell them and they're like screaming down the phone, I love you, and I can't believe it. And so, it's nice when people are really happy and you think, I've made people happy today, then that motivates me to do my job well.
We do, yes. When are you actually looking to leave?
You get out from the job basically what you've put in. It's hard work, but it's also very, very good fun.
Turkish allocated seat numbers at check-in, so if you're looking for something in particular, make sure you get there early for that one. What makes Trailfinders special for me is the people that I'm working with. From when I was training 2.5 years ago, right through to now being a senior consultant, everybody is helpful, everybody is friendly. The social life aspect is very good.
At that stage, you probably would be better off booking the camper van and paying for it in full. So if it is available Monday, we can confirm it on the spot. There's a very youthful, vibrant, active atmosphere around the office. Social life, you're out non-stop. I mean, by the nature of the job, you work hard and you play hard.
The best thing about it is working with like-minded people. We all love travel, and the people that I work with are the sort of people that I would choose to have as my friends.
People are fantastic. You meet friends for life, basically, at Trailfinders.
We've always been a very social company. I think we've scored over 32 marriages so far between staff who'd never met each other until they worked at Trailfinders. We run sports teams and support a sports club, and really any excuse for a party.
Sport is a major part of the Trailfinders culture.
I think people enjoy sport at Trailfinders because they all work very hard, and you need a release after work to get rid of pent-up emotions and aggressions.
And of course, it's great for team building. Trailfinders depends heavily on IT to provide the excellent service of which it's so proud. And behind the scenes is a whole department looking after things 24 hours a day.
Pretty much everyone in the company is an end user. We have 800 odd staff on the payroll, and across the board they all use IT in some form or another. Sales, ticketing, admin, even the post room.
The 1980s were very significant because computer development had reached a stage where could become a serious, useful tool in the travel business, which we took the first computer reservation system terminal that was delivered in the UK. Bearing in mind the size we still were at that time, it was a very forward step in terms of staying on the leading edge of technology, which, of course, is a never-ending thing in which we continue to develop day by day.
We have 11 staff in the systems department, 2 full-time programmers, database manager, and the rest of us handle, on a day-to-day basis, help desk support.
I know, I just actually rebooted, so it should be fine now. So it should go through, so
At the centre of the department is Blackbird.
Blackbird is the most important server in the company. It handles the fares database, otherwise known as the electronic Bible.
The electronic Bible is at the very heart of the business and was designed specifically for Trailfinders. It's a state-of-the-art system for distributing fares, checking seat availability and making bookings.
The system before was paper-based. Each of the consultants carried around a huge file with all their paper memos in it, and it was a bit of a dinosaur, to be honest. Now it's infinitely better. We get the fares at the touch of a button. If we get a new fare in that's exceptionally good, it appears on the consultant's screen straight away, so it's altogether, in every respect, a better system.
The great thing the computer chip does in our industry is take away the drudgery, reducing the keying strokes and also de-stressing, because the computer doesn't forget vital things.
The Trailfinder magazine is published 3 times a year with a print run of over 750,000 copies for each issue. The first edition in 1971 had a distribution of barely 2,000.
The original versions of the Trailfinder magazine were a summary of all the brochures and the services that we were adding. And really over the years it's simply grown and improved, grown in size, grown in circulation, of course.
Since the early 1990s, Trailfinders has taken care of all its design in-house.
Yeah, this week it's going to be Bali.
And that's not just for the Trailfinder, but for all its brochures, stationery, point of sales and advertising.
I think this one's going to look well composition-wise, so the Trailfinder logo across the top.
Good afternoon, Trailfinders. Karen speaking.
We opened the Sydney Travel Centre in March 1998, which very much now is our flagship in Australia and which is showing great signs of success.
Trailfinders Australia is still a relatively new operation.
I think it's been more challenging for us in Sydney to get the clients and to hold on to them due to the fact that we're not a household name in Australia as yet.
Part of our reason for being here is to service many thousands of UK clients who come out to Australia each year. So much so that in the last 12 months we've sold over $2 million worth of additional products to them. I think it's an important feature and it's a unique selling point that our competitors in the UK can't meet.
We have just concluded a recruitment drive for Trailfinders Sydney, and we have very much looked to emulate the recruitment process that has been established for several years in the UK, whereby we are looking for people who've got good travelling experience rather necessarily than previous industry experience.
Working here at Trailfinders, I think the quality of people is very good. They're very open, very knowledgeable, and most of all friendly.
From the person who is on the shop floor to the managing director and the chairman, there's very few levels of management. So communication up and down is generally quite good, and when things happen, they happen very, very quickly.
Cairns in northern Queensland. There's a travel centre here, as well as Sydney and Brisbane. Cairns is the jumping-off point for the Great Barrier Reef and home to another Trailfinders enterprise. Hinterland Aviation operates throughout Queensland, the Northern Territory and Papua New Guinea. In 1992, Trailfinders acquired Hinterland to service the furthest outpost of the ever-expanding Trailfinders operation.
I'll take the right-hand seat if you want. You'll have to take the right-hand seat because I'll be flying from the left. Oh, really?
The journey to Bloomfield Wilderness Lodge is an adventure in itself. Bloomfield lies in the heart of the wilderness, where the rainforest meets the sea. It's about half an hour's flight north of Cairns.
Without doubt, this is one of Australia's premier wilderness properties. There's no doubt about it. The setting is world class.
Everybody coming from the UK should come to Bloomfield. They shouldn't miss it.
It's what we try and promote here is a very relaxed style, both dress regulation-wise and the general mixing of the people. The other thing that's really attractive is the bar, which works on an honour system, and they just record their own drinks, which we obviously settle on departure. And that creates a really relaxed sort of atmosphere too, and people feel trusted and they actually feel at home.
Whether on a river or in a tropical rainforest or a little closer to home, Trailfinders is all about travel and people who love to travel.
Been to Mexico, Central America, and Guatemala, the United States.
Camped in Serengeti for a week.
Up to Singapore, travel through Malaysia and Thailand.
6 weeks hell racing in New Zealand.
Climbed Kilimanjaro last September, which was out of this world.
Botswana, the Yemen.
Mexico, Guatemala, Costa Rica, Nicaragua.
Nepal, Namibia.
El Salvador, Panama, Colombia.
Malaysia, Vietnam.
The Middle East.
Costa Rica more recently.
Japan, Dubai, Iceland.
A couple of months through Europe on 2 occasions.
Czechoslovakia, Hungary.
South Africa, Mauritius.
Ecuador, Peru.
St Lucia, Antigua.
Seychelles, I've been to Bali. Hong Kong, Australia.
2 months in China.
Bolivia, Brazil.
A cruise around the Bahamas. That was all in 1 year.
And then it was time to go home. Needed another holiday after that.
We work on the principle, although it's a bit of a cliche, I think we really carry it through here, that it's a matter of working hard and playing hard. And if you work hard, you actually find yourself playing better as well.
These are just a few of the 800 people who work at Trailfinders. Wherever they are, they're all part of the Trailfinders team.